I left my wife in the hospital one day after my son was born because I had to go have surgery on my ankle so that I could try and make it back as quickly as I can to be a football player. Legitimately left her in the hospital with her mom one day, 12 hours after my son was born. I was like, I got to go. Bye. I don't know how else to explain it, that if you're taking a paternity leave in the middle of training camp.
Is he right? 651 461 9226. We are talking about not the full reason that Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, the former general manager of the Minnesota Vikings, was fired. This is not the total reason. It is getting a lot of attention today for obvious reasons. I think it's a fascinating conversation, actually, because objectively, managers should be taking paternity leave. Managers should be taking vacation time. It sets a good example for the rest of the employees. It normalizes this idea that your role as a father at a critical moment for your family is important. It's good for society. It's good for your business. It's good for everything. And also, if you're the CEO or the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings, sorry, I don't think you should take 2 weeks off in the middle of training camp. Go take 3 weeks off at the end of your team's season. I don't know. Go find some other time. But I think there are certain jobs that, no, you don't get to take leave. In this job, when I just started, 4 years ago, like say I don't know, say Alyssa was having our third child. The Holy Spirit must have acted because there's going to be a urologist where there's going to be a very serious conversation. If Alyssa, or a serious conversation with Alyssa. Anyway, imagine I had just started this job. And then I took 2 weeks off. No. I would never do it. I would never do it. The reaction to the general manager saying, I'm going to take paternity leave and I'll work remotely, and he was working remotely. I don't know, man. Like, do we have to be so PC about everything and so like, oh, well, this is a terrible example and we're an enlightened world? No, we're not that enlightened. We're not that enlightened. The NFL is not where I go for like inspiration about the right way to run a company. I expect the general manager to be working his butt off during training camp, and I expect the coach to be a jerk. This is the NFL. Why are we acting like the NFL should be run like the same way Marge's accounting service should be run? I just think it's so stupid. Everyone's so performative about it. Oh, well, you got to take your paternity leave. I can't believe people are mad at Kwesi Adofo. If that team fired him for taking... Look, part of leadership is connecting with your team, the people who work for you. And when your team is made up of people who are driving around the country, staying in crappy hotels, eating free continental breakfast at the Hampton Inn, and then going to some dumb high school to try to kiss the butt of some 16-year-old or some junior college trying to recruit some kid, you're going to be kind of ticked when your boss takes 2 weeks of paternity leave. Now, again, is that why he got fired? No. Because if the drafts were good, if the leadership was there, if the entire building was sticking up for Kwesi, then he would still be on the job today. But to me, this is, and this was in an article by our friend Alec Lewis at The Athletic, and, the official line is the Minnesota Vikings supported the paternity leave. And I'm sure the Minnesota Vikings did support the paternity leave. But I'm also sure that every single person who worked under this guy was ticked. And I think they're right to be. 651-461-9226. I don't think a father should take extended parental leave until the child is walking. The fathers do little with a newborn. Okay. I mean, we're all going to come in with the, like, back in my day stories. And indeed, back in my day, when Seth was born in 2005, I took one vacation day at work. I think I took a Friday and then I was off the weekend or something. I don't know. I took like one day off and then came back to work. Now, I'm not bragging about that. I'm not asking for a trophy for that. I think today, if I did that, today I would take the paternity leave. I'm not the boss. I'm not the boss. So, in this gig, I don't know that there's a comparable, right? Like I said, I wouldn't take paternity leave like right when I started the job, but I certainly would take it today. And I wouldn't be mad if my boss took paternity leave. But like, don't you think running an NFL team is different? I look at the fact that Target has a new CEO today. I mean, the real issue is this. Do you think anyone really cares about this, or it's just a great opportunity for everybody to show how enlightened they are? Oh, I'm so enlightened. Oh, I can't believe they would do this. Give me a break. That's what I think. Women have important jobs, says a texter. Should they not take maternity leave? Well, maternity leave and paternity leave are very different. And women and men are very different. And if you are a woman as a general manager of a football team, yes, you should take maternity leave. Should you take 3 months? I don't know. I think, again, another radical opinion for me. I'm all full of hot takes now. Maternity leave and paternity leave are totally different. Totally different. We've sort of turned it into the same thing, which I think is like a load. I think it's a load. Let's go to Sheila in Kensington. Sheila, we need your perspective on here because I'm starting to lose it. So you tell me what you think. You're
cracking me up.
It's fun to get wound up about something that's like of less. Well, this is important, but it's like less life or death. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it is. But I really think that it's okay for dads to do that. I mean, I don't know. I think they should be able to spend time with their kids when they're babies, because then they can kind of connect a little bit more.
Yeah, the bonding. I agree. I think it's great that companies are now giving dads paternity leave, but don't you think that there are certain jobs that when you opt into that job, you sort of opt out of like the normal things that everybody should get?
Probably. And, the Vikings, I don't know. I love them. My dad was a football coach. I grew up with football. I mean, and I know the sacrifices, even from a high school football coach, what sacrifices go out there. And you're right. I mean, certain jobs are different than others, but at the same time, they're still people and they're still dads, and they're still babies.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think a lot of people take that 12 weeks off, a lot of the women, and then the man will take maybe a week, 5 weeks, or up to 12 weeks. I think they get. The dads do too for a paternal leave. But
how nice is that, right? Like I got jack booty. I got nothing.
Yeah.
But like I'm not mad about it. I'm glad that like yes, it's much better. Oh, all right, Dan's like you're a little mad about it. I'm maybe a little mad about it, but I'm mostly glad about it. I think it's wonderful. Yeah. Also, we all work enough. Like, if you can get some time that your company pays for, I'm all for the person taking that time.
Yes. Yeah, back in the 90s when I was having kids, I had only, I think, 2 weeks off with one of them and 5 weeks off with the other. We didn't get paid maternity leave
Yeah,
where
that's
I
right.
worked. Yeah, crazy. But
That is
anyway,
crazy.
you've been making me laugh,
That's
and
good.
your passion is wonderful.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you for listening and for calling him. Really, call anytime. Very good. There goes Sheila. Texters, not really. Why should the mother be responsible for everything after the birth? Give the mom a break every once in a while. And football is a game. Who cares? He could work from home. Studying film at home would not be hard. Yeah, every general manager should probably just be able to work wherever they want. Don't have to show up at the old factory.
There is a culture in the NFL that is borderline sociopathic,
Yes.
where you show how dedicated you are. You talk about performative by sleeping at the facility and not going home and only getting 4 hours sleep and working 18-hour day and all this nonsense. There's a lot of that too.
That's fair.
And a lot of, I think, a fair amount of the pushback against, how dare Kwesi take 2 weeks to go be with his family and his newborn child comes from that, as well as this notion of, well, no, you're the big leader. You can't do. Part of leadership is hiring the people under you that can handle things. If you need to take a couple of weeks because, I don't know, your wife just had a kid. And again, with all our connectedness today, to pretend that he wasn't involved, that he was completely cut off because he wasn't 24/7 in the facility, to me is also kind of silly.
If he had a good relationship with his staff prior to this, nobody would care.
Right. And so
that's what I think. It's
that's where the mistake is.
Of the fact that he's a bad leader. He had no experience as a leader. He came from outside football. He came from Wall Street. And so all of these guys who busted their hump for years after years being low-level analysts, low-level scouts, they look at their leader who's like, I could be accessible. I'll see you on Zoom. And you're like, screw you.
So the failure in leadership isn't so much taking the time. The failure in leadership is not having alignment in and amongst your staff before that.
I think so. And if they won a Super Bowl, as a texter said,
Then nobody would care.
But they didn't. And the truth is, part of having one of these special jobs, there are not a lot of CEO jobs. There are not a lot of professional sports team general manager jobs, is that you got to sacrifice a little bit. And that's what I think this is more about. Let's break. Your text flowing in. Keep it coming. I think he was wrong. 651-461-9226.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
I am for paternity leave for people who are not in charge of the business.
Do you think it's worth having a conversation above and beyond just paternity leave, maternity leave, about work-life balance? Because I think one of the things, every generation goes after the generations that come after it and says they're horrible and they're awful. But I think one of the things that millennials and especially Gen Z are pushing harder than maybe our generation did is a better or a more balanced work-life kind of relationship. Because we're brought up in a generation where your identity is caught up in your job. Your job becomes kind of who you are. And so, to say that you're not doing a good job is to say you're not a good person. Where I think some of these younger generations are like, a job is what I need to provide for me and my family, and it's important, but it's not everything. Family should come at least, 1 and 1A with my job.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there's some of that kind of
some
reaction
of that
going
out.
The vociferousness with people
I don't know.
are reacting to this.
I like that you are ascribing good motives to the people, and they're going off about it. I think that people are full of it, that this is a great opportunity for people to preen and show how special they are, how much they love, they're more sensitive, and, the NFL is so mean.
I just think there's
But if your boss was doing it, you'd be mad if you were in that sort of a job.